Hello, my name is Nessa Roche, and today I'm going to be talking to you about professional learning and ethical practices. When developing a professional learning environment, I first had to start with being engaged in ongoing learning opportunities within my assigned school and district. In doing so, I was able to develop knowledge and fundamental skills of differentiation within the classroom in order to provide all of my students with an engaging curriculum while providing my students with a learning experience based on local and state standards. For me, this was both Kansas and Colorado state standards that were rooted in NGSS, or the Next Generation Science Standards of Learning. This also meant that I was now part of an integral team working to be held to a higher level of honesty and professionalism for the students and team members while I was in the care of my school. In my case, this meant that I was actively engaged in meaningful and appropriate professional relationship experiences, providing my assigned school and district that aligned with the needs to be most successful member of a team, as well as the needs for the students in my care, the school, support systems within the school. I took the time to independently and with collaboration of my CT or cooperating teacher and colleagues, use many ways to collect data to improve upon, make suggestions to team leaders on my performance in a classroom. I accomplished this by seeking advice from senior staff, going into other teachers' classrooms to observe how they taught the same content or lesson, shared this learned information about my students from evaluations and assessments that I could influence the outcomes of my teaching, their learning, and share this content with other staff members. I took notes and I learned to adapt my planning for students with accommodations or behavioral needs and practiced those that had learned and practice these learned outcomes to best suit the needs of my students with everyone's input and guidance for support for my students and their needs at the forefront of my lessons. It was important that my students knew that I was there for them and that I was there to always help them be successful. Lastly, I actively sought out ways to improve myself, my lessons, my content, by seeking out professional and community and technology resources, both inside and outside of the school, that supported my students' ability to demonstrate their problem-solving skills. I use technology to advocate, model, and teach safe, legal, and ethical use of information while using technology that belongs to the school within the classroom. This included appropriating documentation of what websites would be used and visited during my lessons, preventing students' misuse of device while using them for researching. This also include how to properly cite authors for their research and give credit for image used within their content. It was in this adventure that I found that a wealth of content for educators was also available online that could actively meet my lesson plans for my students. I realized that this vast knowledge online for educators could also help me be avoid of placing my personal beliefs and biases for my students into my lessons and present my students with material that help facilitate the lesson in a way that would be free of cultural, ethic, and gender learning differences visible within the lesson. This allowed me to be more politically correct when addressing my non-binary or disabled students, and by selecting content that had no gender assumptions or ability assumptions, thus building stronger relationships with my students and creating a more relevant learning experience for all. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you watching. Have a great day.